Hello dear viewers, welcome to today's English session of bd24 online school. Today I am Shahidul Islam with you. In our last class, we discussed one of the masterpieces of William Shakespeare, which was King Lear, and today's class we are going to discuss another classic of William Shakespeare, namely Macbeth. The central figure of the play is, as in King Lear, Macbeth, who is a general of Scotland. So what happens at the opening of the play? Macbeth, along with his dear friend Banquo, they are returning home as victorious. When they were returning home, they encountered a supernatural force, something unusual, that was 3 witches. These 3 witches, they encounter both Macbeth and Banquo on their way returning home, and they gave some prophecies. They revealed some prophecies. They tell Macbeth that he is going to be the king, the monarch of entire Scotland, and for Banquo, though he will not be the king, but he will be the offspring of king. His son will be the future king. So Macbeth, he is obsessed by the idea that in near future maybe he is going to be the king of Scotland, and Banquo, he is also happy because though he will not be the king, but his son maybe will become the next king. So Macbeth, as he is obsessed by the idea that he is going to be the king, and the present king is Duncan. Due to the bravery of Macbeth, as he is returning home as a victorious, Duncan decides to pay a visit to Macbeth's castle. So the entire surrounding, the entire atmosphere is driving Macbeth crazy. So he writes a letter to his beloved wife, who is Lady Macbeth. Macbeth informs Lady Macbeth that 3 witches have encountered Macbeth and they have given a prophecy that he will be the future king, and also about the arrival of the king Duncan to their house. So Lady Macbeth, she understands her husband pretty well, so she takes some preparation. When Macbeth reaches home, Lady Macbeth, obviously she is very happy to see her husband after a long time, and she has some plots as well. She informs about the plot to Macbeth, but Macbeth, though he wants to be the king, he doesn't want to commit any kind of crime at first. So he is not agree with Lady Macbeth at first. But Lady Macbeth, she is so powerful in her words, she instigates Macbeth in such a way that Macbeth is reluctant to act according to Lady Macbeth. So what happens? Duncan, he reaches to Macbeth's palace, and after a heavy meal, he goes to take some rests. And Lady Macbeth, she gives a dagger in Macbeth's hand, and she literally pushes Macbeth to go and commit regicide, to kill Duncan and to be the king. Macbeth is very much afraid. How can he do such a heinous crime? But as Lady Macbeth was pushing him again and again, Macbeth, he is reluctant and he goes and commits a regicide, which is considered as the most heinous sin of that time, killing of a king. After killing the king, Macbeth returns and he is shaking out of fear. Lady Macbeth, what she does, she is very bold. She is very much brave in her action. She takes the dagger and she spreads some blood on the girth of Duncan so that they can make the girth guilty. So Lady Macbeth makes the girth guilty, and Macbeth, what he does to cover up his sin, he kills the girths as well. So the king is dead. The girths who were guarding the king, they're also dead. At this moment, Macduff, who is another general of Scotland, he reaches, and Macbeth, he informs Macduff that the guards have killed Duncan, and out of his rage, out of his fury, Macbeth has killed the guard. But Macbeth, he can't convince Macduff. There is doubt in Macduff's mind. Duncan had 2 sons. They are Malcolm and Donalbain, and out of fear that their father is dead and they might be responsible for the death, they flee to England. Out of fear, they do not stay in Scotland anymore, rather they flee to England. So the situation has changed, and Macbeth, he becomes the new king of entire Scotland. After becoming king, he is not that much happy because the witches, they prophesied that Banquo, though he will not be the king, but he will be the father of a king. So Macbeth, he takes another heinous action. He decides to kill both Banquo and his little son flees. So he sends two assassins to kill Banquo and flees because Macbeth, he wants to ensure that he remains in power. But he doesn't tell Lady Macbeth about this action. The assassins, they successfully kill Banquo. But Fleance, he is fortunate enough to escape the plot. Fleance is not dead, but Banquo, he is killed by the assassins hired by Macbeth. So Macbeth, he is holding feasts, he is doing celebration, but in his celebration, he acts weirdly. Why? Because he sees the ghost of Banquo. He acts like a mad, he acts like a furious person. Lady Macbeth, as she is very cunning, very intelligent, she covers up the subject that Macbeth is maybe a little bit ill, he is not okay. As we have already known that Macduff, he has doubt in mind that Macbeth is telling a lie, Macbeth is covering up something. So he decides to pay a visit to Malcolm and Donalbain, and he wants them to return their home, Scotland, and they want to overthrow Macbeth from the throne. So Macduff, he goes to Malcolm and Donalbain. Now Macbeth is quite sure that Duncan is dead, he is now the king. Banquo and Fleance, they are also no more. So he goes to the witches once again to know the future a bit more. The witches, once again, they give some prophecies. They warn Macbeth of Macduff, that Macduff maybe can become a reason of fear in his life, and they ensures Macbeth that no one born of a mother's womb will be able to kill Macbeth anymore. So Macbeth, he is quite confident that yes, I will be the king forever. Banquo, Fleance, they will not be the king, and Macduff, he is not in Scotland, rather he is in England, so Macduff will not be able to do any harm. But Macbeth, what he does, once again, in order to punish Macduff, he kills Lady Macduff and his son. After killing Duncan, after killing Banquo, Macbeth doesn't stop, he kills Lady Macduff and son. So what happens next? Macduff, he convinces Malcolm and Donalbain. He convinces them both. And then what happens? They march an army towards Scotland in order to avenge Macbeth, in order to avenge the death of their beloved king, Duncan. But Macbeth, he is quite confident that no man will be able to kill him. So they had a duel. They had an encounter, and in that encounter, Macduff reveals that he is not born of the mother's womb, rather he is taken out. The thing that happens in nowadays in C-section, in Caesar, Macduff was born in that way. He was not born, he was taken out. So Macbeth, he starts to fear that, oh my god, Macduff is not born, but he is taken out, and the witches, they have told him that someone who is born will not be able to kill him, but Macduff, he is not born, rather he is taken out. So Macduff is in fear because he has committed some guilt. Now those people who are guilty, they always feel a fear. So Macbeth is afraid, and they encounter in a duel. Before that, what happens? Lady Macbeth, she has committed a sin as well. She has instigated Macbeth to kill Duncan. Now so she can't sleep anymore. In her vision, she sees maybe Duncan as a ghost or whatever. She can't sleep anymore. She walks in her sleep, and her condition becomes so worse that ultimately she dies a premature death. So Macbeth now is in a duel with Macduff, and as Macbeth is afraid, though he is a brave general, a brave person, a brave individual, rather out of his guilt he is afraid and he can't stand against Macduff. Rather Macduff wounds Macbeth, and ultimately he dies. And for the time being, Malcolm, the eldest son of Donalbain, he becomes the king of entire Scotland. That's how the story comes to an end. We see how a central figure, a protagonist who takes some error in judgment. Due to his judgmental errors, he commits a heinous crime, a heinous sin, and ultimately he pays for his sin. That's how the tragedy ends, and William Shakespeare portrays the fight between right and wrong in Macbeth and his inner psychology. So dear viewers, that's all for today's class. Inshallah, we'll come up with another play of William Shakespeare. Till then, Allah Hafiz.